So 21C is kind of an interesting course. Interesting, maybe not quite the right word. Certainly the material is interesting, but it's very kind of, it's kind of split. Like the first half-ish, you do sequences and series, and you learn all about how to tell if a series converges or diverges and what it might converge to. And the second half, you do like all this kind of 3D calculus, for lack of a better term, and talk about vectors a little bit and find distances between planes and points and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of very, like, there's not a lot, of connection between the first half of this quarter and the second half of this quarter. And often people who really like the first half maybe like the second half less, or vice versa. If you really like struggling with the first half, the second half can be a welcome relief. So just realize that about midway through, we are going to kind of really switch gears and do something a bit different. Let's take a look here at the Go class. So sure, let me minimize you. Let me share my screen finally. Sharing the good old screen. Okay, so here is the Canvas page as usual, the usual kind of stuff. I mean, if you looked at the Canvas page last quarter, you'll recognize that this looks very similar to what we did last quarter. A couple differences is I did give a smaller window of time to do the weekly reflections. So now they will become available Thursday at midnight, so like 12:01 a.m. Thursday day, and you'll have all of Thursday and all of Friday to complete the reflection. So just 2 days to do it, although you certainly can turn it in late and still get credit. I wanted them done a little earlier so I could look at them and get ready for the next week a little sooner. The quizzes still about the same amount of time. They're going to be available on Thursday or Friday and due. What time did I say the quizzes were due at? Monday at noon. So it'll have from Thursday or Friday until Monday. And it'll be the same kind of format. A few, like 3 or 4 questions. You get full credit for doing the quiz. I will grade it and give you feedback to let you know if you're doing things in the right way or the wrong way, but like it's the same deal. You get full credit for doing the quiz, no matter how right or wrong your answers are. You get full credit for doing the reflections as long as you do them. And the other part of passing the class is attending. And if for some reason you can't attend, although clearly all of you are here right now, I will allow for like watching the video for the class to make up for missed attendance if that is something that becomes an issue. I'm pretty sure there's a way I can see who has watched the video. I think. I'm not positive. We'll figure it out. Also, I'm not super concerned about everybody passing. I mean, I'm not like, I think everyone's going to pass. If nobody passed or if people didn't pass, it wouldn't be the end of the world because it's just a pass, no pass workload class. That said, I think you'll all pass the class if you want to, right? If you don't, no big deal. What else? Would love to see people using the discussion tab this quarter. I know I tried to make discussions happen last quarter and it didn't really happen, but this quarter, I think, especially since there's so few of us, would be a really good way for people to ask questions to me, and then I can answer them so everyone can see. Or other people can also answer, put in their 2 cents. One thing I was going to say is that for the weekly reflections, so let's go ahead and take it. It's really the same kind of stuff. If you're answering the same, some of the questions are kind of the same. If you're answering the same questions again, you are welcome to say, hey, James, I answered that last quarter. If you really don't want to write it again, perfectly fine. But if you look at this first reflection number 1 here, right, the same kind of deal. In this week's reflection, I would like you to include the following: a very brief summary of what you covered in your Math 21C class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or if you've done it before Friday, Monday and Wednesday. The math question. And what I was going to say is you can write your math question in the reflection, but you could also either write it there and write it in a discussion, or just say, I wrote it in a discussion and write it in a discussion. And the reason I say this is because, as I'm sure some of you must have experienced last quarter, some of you asked math questions in your reflection and I answered them maybe extensively, which I don't know about you, but like the discussion box for typing things in is not very large. So it's not really ideal for writing mathematical equations. On the other hand, discussions are really great for it because you can actually use the equation editor and type math, or at least I can, which makes it so I can write my responses in a more legible, readable, easy to, there was a word I was looking for. They seem to have trouble finding the words these days. Like when you eat food and then you digest, easy to digest way. Yeah, good job. So I would, again, encourage everyone to, if you have a math question that you want to see an answer to or get some kind of direction on, the discussions are a great place to post those, because I will definitely respond. And if you put it in discussion, I can write it using very nice, pretty looking mathematical typesetting, which is available there. And everyone else gets a chance to see the questions too and the answers, which is helpful for everybody. So we are all going to commit to trying to make that happen this quarter. I'm going to remind everybody. And then, of course, you can always send me your jokes, which I really, really, really appreciate the last quarter. I definitely chuckled quite often. And then there's the not optional, that's optional part, where I ask you personal questions. I've changed some of them this quarter, so you should look at them. But this first one is the same as it was the first one last quarter, which is, do you have any siblings? So if you all want to skip that one, that's really okay. Yeah, and then, yeah, I know some of the questions are the same. And there's also, at least in my other classes, new students. And in this class, there's one new student who is not here yet, but that's okay. Let's see. So I think, yeah, we're missing 2 people. It's quite all right. So, and then the quizzes are the same as before. I mean, not the same quizzes, obviously, but like, if we go back to assignments for 1 second, where'd you go? Right, the quizzes will be exactly the same. You'll click on the quiz, there'll be a file right here. You'll look at it, you can write your answers, scan them, upload them to Gradescope, and then make sure to assign questions and pages, and then I will grade them and give you credit, and you get feedback on what's going on. Let me think for a second. I guess I should ask you guys, although I imagine the answer is probably no. Are there any questions about how this class is going to work? That's what I thought. It's okay if you have questions. Like, I'm really happy to answer them, but I feel like it's kind of the same. Let's see what else here. So let's go ahead and take a look around Canvas just to see what we've got. So you've got the syllabus, which is the same as the home. I'll probably change the home to the modules tab, because that's usually what I feel like most people are looking for when they come to the co-class Canvas page. And then, yeah, discussions. I'll probably start a discussion later today. Like, you can ask your questions here. You can see your attendance. You can see all the things. Yeah. And then the modules. So I will continue to, post the class recordings after the class. I think I should probably be able to get them up there the day of. I just recently downloaded the new operating system for my Mac, and they changed a couple of things. One of the things being iMovie, you can no longer just click a thing and directly share it to YouTube. You have to go through 2 extra steps, which, it's only 2 steps, but it feels like a giant pain in the ass. So getting the recordings up will take a few more clicks than before, which will be annoying to me, but it will not really change anything. I will also be posting the quizzes and the solutions here. And then I also got some other stuff. I've got some old midterm reviews that I've posted. So when you're coming up to a midterm, you might want to check those out. We might even check them out together. I should also click this so it's published. I've got some handouts about how to see if a series converges or diverges. And these kind of all have very similar information, but they all are presented different ways. So this first one, take your time, kind of runs you through a list of questions you can ask yourself to determine if a series, or also known as a sum, converges or diverges, and then also what test you might try to use to see if it converges or diverges. Whereas this second handout just kind of states a few of the more normally used tests and kind of how they work. So, and again, right, we haven't talked about any of this yet, so I don't expect you to know what these things mean necessarily, but you will certainly know them very soon. And then here's another handout that's a little more in-depth that has examples for each of the series tests that they're talking about. So the last one's definitely kind of the most definitive, the most detailed of the 3 handouts. I think they're all worth looking at. I'll probably refer back to this last one a few times when we're talking about the various convergence and divergence tests we're going to look at. I also posted some of the handouts from 21B just because it is still going to be assumed that you have that 21B knowledge, especially how to anti-differentiate and integrate things. There definitely still is integration that happens, although not as much. But one of the tests that we use to determine if a series is convergent or divergent is called the integral test. And it is literally looking to see if the same integral, the same infinite integral, or what's the word I'm looking for? Improper integral from wherever to infinity, if it's convergent or divergent. So there is a test that says if the integral of the thing converges, then so does the series. And if the integral of the thing diverges, then so does the series. So definitely still need to know how to integrate things, although probably not as many types and as complex types of integration, but still all that's on the board. And then we have the bottom here, these problem solving worksheets, which I will definitely probably pull problems from on occasion. It's often my source of inspiration for what we do during class. Like, oh, that's a good problem. That's a good problem. Normally in a normal in-person quarter, I would probably teach class for maybe a half hour or something, go over a few things, and then give everybody these problem solving worksheets to work on with each other. That's not going to be particularly effective, I think, this quarter, just because it doesn't seem super useful for me to say, work on this. I mean, I do think it's useful for you guys to do problems, but really it's more about me, I guess. It's hard for me to say, do these problems and then sit here for 2 minutes while you do the problem. So it's going to be like last quarter, a lot of me showing you how to do particular types of problems and trying to point out how things differ. I would also encourage you that when I'm doing a problem that seems like you could also do it, to just try to do it without even listening to what I'm saying. And if you guys like, you can also ask me, right? If you're like, James, we want to do problems on our own, you should let me know, because I can certainly make that happen. I just have to make my brain adjust and be more comfortable with silence while you guys work on stuff. So normally in a classroom, I would walk around and look at what people were doing, but I can't really do that here. So yeah. Also, this top part here is a link to Grant's webpage with the same problem solving sheets, but unlike Canvas, he has the problem solving sheets and he also has the solutions that he's written. So if we are looking at problems in class and don't get to finish it, or if you just want extra practice, because we're definitely not going to get through all of these, or really all of any one of them, right? Like we'll probably do some of the problems in this first one, but we definitely won't do all of them. If you want more practice, you can look at the other problems and then look at the solutions to see if you did it right. And then the last thing I want to say is, I don't know how much any of you have looked at your various teachers' Canvas pages. So much stuff all over the place, but they seem like they are pretty well set. Waldron definitely has a lot of stuff going on. He definitely really wants you to think about what is going on with the class. So he's asked you some interesting questions. This sum here that he's asked you guys to look at, definitely when you multiply it by 4 does add up to, well, I don't want to give it away, but it's a very famous number that's involved with circles. I bet you all can guess what it is. But it's kind of interesting that, you know, this infinite sum gets closer and closer to a particular number. And then there's some videos which I did not watch. This guy, he said you could watch then lose 43 minutes of your life. So maybe not that one. But yeah, he's right. He definitely tries to spell things out for everybody in a good way. There's no final exam for him, which is awesome. And then he's got the homework, which I'm sure you're all aware of, assignments. I thought it was cool. I hadn't noticed this before, that you can, if you click on the assignments, you know, one of them is already, where'd it go? Another section 10.1. So, right, you load it. And then I never noticed this before. Maybe I'm just dense. You can download a PDF or a tech hard copy, which I did. So I have, where did I put you? Just because I thought it was useful. I definitely grabbed, I feel like people have seen, I feel like I'm just late to the game here. But if you also didn't know about this, well, great, now you know about it. But you can download that, and where did I put it? It's right here. And then it has all of all of the questions that you will be on your homework set here. So that might be kind of useful. So you can actually see stuff before you have to just enter an answer. I don't know. I like it. I like that I can have this and then not have to like click through the problems to be like, oh, James, I was having problems with this problem. I can just be like, great, I can see them all right here instead of having to go through all of this rigmarole. And then wow, what happened to wow, what's going on? It's weird. Okay. Likewise, well, not likewise, but maybe in contrast, where'd you go? Biello's class. Where'd you go, Biello's class? I think I closed it. Anyway, sorry. Let's go back to Canvas. Let's open it up. So here is Biello's class for 21C. And he's got lots of stuff as well. He's got this video of him, this video with his interesting lamb puppet, I think, sheep puppet. There's a puppet on his video talking to you guys. He seems like a nice guy, maybe a little out there, but you know, we're math people. We're all kind of out there. I couldn't watch his first video because I didn't have access for some reason. But if you look at the Zoom link here, he does have, no, that's not what I meant. If you look at the media gallery, or maybe it's the media. Yeah, the media gallery has all his lectures, I think from last quarter. So I feel like the first one kind of was a little bit all over the place, but he does seem very, like, his writing seems very clear. He seems like he's got it together. He definitely knows what he wants to talk about. But I feel like maybe he's starting in a different kind of place a little bit. Anyway, I like what, and also I saw this, I was like, oh, you can't really see the board very clearly, but the camera does like zoom forward and scan and pan to whatever part it's following. So these videos are probably worth watching if you want more instruction than what you are getting from him. But I don't really know. I know he sent an email to the class with kind of the live information, but I was not able to watch it, maybe because I'm not enrolled in the class. And then he's got his assignments here. And I went down to the past assignment, which I guess was already due yesterday. And it's all these problems, which were some section 10.1. So lots of stuff. Now, already due, that seems kind of interesting. Anyone have anything to say about that? Was it really already due? It's okay if you don't know. I was just curious. So in either event, everyone's talking about sequences at the moment. So we should talk about sequences. Oh, it's not graded. Okay. But I assume he did want you to do it right, because people who are teaching assign things and do, not because just for the fun of it. I mean, it's also gonna be fun, but because we think you should do them. So you should probably work through these problems. Maybe not all of them. It is. No, I mean, it's not a ridiculous amount of work. However, let's take a look back here just one sec. So then lecture 2 is due tomorrow, lecture 3. So it looks like easy. Yeah. So, I mean, as we've seen in the past, right? Math classes do require a significant amount of time put into them to really understand and be successful. So I would really encourage those of you in Biello's class to do these problems. And for those of you in Waldron's class, it feels like there's a little bit less homework, maybe, but no, that doesn't really feel accurate. I was just looking at section 10.1. So I think you guys are going to have a lot of homework. You should do it. I should say, for Biello's class, is any of the homework graded? Or is it just these first few assignments are not graded? It's okay. It's also okay if you don't know. Let's see. Someone just came in. Nope. Our grade only consists of quizzes. Okay. So I offer a warning. And you guys should already know this because you've been taking math classes for a little while at UC Davis. You know you have to do the homework. I know you might not want to do the homework. I know it's especially hard to make yourself do the homework when it's not graded and not due in any way, shape, or form. But I really, really, really can't stress enough. If you're in Biello's class, even though the homework isn't due, You really need to do it. And I will, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. For those of you in Waldron's class, it does look like there is homework and it is due and graded, so that shouldn't be an issue. But for those of you in Biello's class, you have to have some personal accountability. Not that I don't think you guys do. I'm just a friendly reminder that you really need to make yourself do the homework, because that's how you're going to learn the material and be able to actually do it when you have to take a quiz. Again, I'm sure I'm preaching to people that already know this, but it would be remiss of me not to actually say it. So I have said it. All right, I think that's all I really want to say about how the course kind of works. I see someone just joined class, and I'm afraid I don't know how to pronounce your name. Aneda?
Yeah, Aneda. You got it.
So Aneda, I just went over the kind of class, how the class works stuff. And I think you're the only person who didn't take Code 21B with me last quarter. So what I would encourage you to do is, when you have a moment, I will post the video after class today. If you want to watch like the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of it, just to make sure you are also aware of how things work. It's also spelled out in the syllabus, but I just went and talked about it. So if you're not sure about how something works, you can watch the video. You can also just send me an email or come to office hours, or we can figure it out. But definitely, if you have questions about how the things work for the class, let me know. It's not a huge deal, but I want you to be able to be successful just like everybody else. So do watch those first 15, 20 minutes when you have a chance. All right. I should ask everybody, are there any questions before we start doing some 21C? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. Great. So I've got lots of source material up here, which is awesome. I'm going to start with sequences because that's what everybody's starting with. But we will quickly move to series. If not today, then definitely Thursday. Excuse me. And what I want to let everybody know is I'm an unoriginal person. I don't feel the need to recreate the same material every time. So I am definitely using the notes from Grant's website. Not so if actually, let me share my screen one more time real quick. So I think Grant is a great teacher. He does a good job of explaining things and writing things very clearly. So what I am doing is what am I doing? I am showing you guys what I'm doing is what I'm doing. Let's see, Grant, where are you, Grant? So I'm just looking at his 21C site, and I'm looking over on the right side is where he actually has the notes that he kind of presents during class usually. And these are a little bit old, but the material hasn't changed, right? They definitely did kind of change when they were using a different book many years ago. And the order of stuff that was presented in 21B and 21C was kind of jumbled around, but it's been the same for a while. So I'm going to be cribbing off these notes here, definitely using them, if not exactly, certainly for inspiration, because I might change the problems around a little bit. But if you want to follow along with them, you are certainly welcome to. You don't have to, but if you have a question about a thing, it might be helpful to you to follow along. So there's the link to all of his stuff.